Jim, as we are recording in real time, Tony Khan this afternoon has tweeted out some interesting things. If you don't mind that I too hit you with this, I know we're kind of hitting you with an ambush here, but this is fascinating.
Well, hey, just you never mind about your bush or my bush. We'll get along fine. Just tell me what I need to know.
Tony Khan tweeted out this afternoon at 1:18 p.m. An independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-AEW online community aren't real individuals. It's a staff running thousands of accounts and an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely. These aren't real people.
Oh my God.
Who'd pay for such a wildly expensive thing? And that was the first tweet. There's a few others here, but
Wait, hold on. Before we go any further. So now he's saying, well, they can't honestly actually be people in the world existing on today's planet that criticize our genius over here. So they've got to all be not only fake bots, but it's a concerted effort that somebody's paying for to make us look like idiots on Twitter. That is his story that he's telling now.
And it turns out these bots are also watching The Real Housewives on Wednesday nights.
Is there anybody around him that can tell him how stupid that sounds before he utters it? Or is he just allowed to just blither on in any way he wants? Of course, there's a bunch of people on Twitter that ain't real. Down there somewhere, there's a real person with 77 Twitter accounts that has an opinion about every goddamn thing from Will Smith at the Oscars to wrestling. But he is trying to, the way I read that, say, well, it's ridiculous. All these people couldn't possibly think that AEW sucks and we don't know what we're doing. So it's somebody, and by inference, Vince McMahon and or the evil empire, that are creating all these fake accounts to say that we suck. And I guess then they're deep faking all the videos of all the botches and the falling and the stumbling and the bumbling to go along with that. And it's all a plot. Nobody really thinks that in the world except you and me. I think they kind of know we're real. They've seen us before.
Sorry to break it to you, Jim. I'll say it now. I am a bot.
No!
This whole show, I've been fake the whole time.
You mean really down deep? If I opened your mouth wide enough and looked with a flashlight, I would see Bob May's face smiling back at me?
No, you'd probably see some Lido Kosher Deli, but I get your point.
And by the way, for all of you young folks, that was the person inside the Lost in Space robot B9. Bob May. If you had that on your trivia card, you can now cash in. So he's claiming it's all a plot against him.
Well, to be fair,
people don't really think that.
He's not saying it's all a plot. He's saying much of the staunch anti-AEW online community. Much of. Is that okay? Is much of a majority? Is that more than
much
half?
Of is a majority? Much as some of would be a minority. Much of would be a majority. But again, I don't know what's going on up there these days, but if somebody came into Vince McMahon's presence, if when I worked with him on a daily basis, there had been a thing called Twitter on the interwebs, and somebody had actually pitched him the idea, Vince, what we're going to do to fight this promotional war is we're going to have a bunch of people get on the internet and pretend to be other people and say mean, bad things about the company. He would have been continuing to wait for them to get to the revelation of what they were really going to do. And then he would, when that was it, he would have looked at them with that look that he gets right before he says you're fired. It would have been ridiculous. The fuck? Yeah, cut their nuts off with the TV network or steal a major sponsor away, I can go for that. But set up a bunch of fake Twitterers? Fuck you, Tony. Jesus Christ.
So you don't think there's any truth to the idea WWE would hire, and again, as Tony put it here, a wildly expensive thing, that WWE would hire a team to go out there and slander their competition?
On Twitter, no. No, I don't think they would do that. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's fucking amateur and childish, and what the fuck world are we living in? Like I said, yes, steal a sponsor, cut their nuts off with the TV network, take buildings away, sign exclusive deals with fucking buildings, try to poach their talent. Those are things you could go to Vince McMahon with if he was in a promotional war, and he would sit down and talk to you about it. Talking mean on Twitter with fake bots and spend money on that? I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. That's what the AEW fans do for free. They sit in their basement with 47 Twitter accounts apiece and try to take up for their favorites. So now we've got Tony Khan, the owner of the company, thinking like a goddamn 23-year-old dropout eating a Hot Pocket in the basement.
Well, we have more from the basement here, a couple more tweets from Tony Khan, or 3 more tweets right now. Research this one yourselves. You internet detectives thrive in these situations. It's like Trump calling on Putin, you know?
Yeah.
You internet detectives, you guys do the dirty work that I'm trying to do.
Give us the dirt. You know you've got it.
Speaking of wild things, you won't want to miss this. Jon Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta on AEW Rampage, 10 p.m. Eastern Time tonight.
He's come up with this Who Shot John story about bots and a concerted smear campaign to plug his fucking TV program.
Their boiler room staff is going to be working overtime on a Friday, and I love it. And finally, the final tweet I see here is, ever wonder why so much of the activity on these accounts is retweets and replies? Like, who actually has 80% of their activity as straight up retweets?
Me?
I can answer this, Jim Cornette.
Yeah. Because I don't like to type. I don't have a lot of time. It's quicker than if I see something that I agree with or something that interests me or just a cute little furry woodland creature, I retweet it. I don't know if I wouldn't be 90 to 95, and the stuff you put on the YouTube channel and our various programs, I would say 95% of my tweets are retweets.
Well, there it is. We'll see if Tony reveals any information, this independent study.
You know what? That's a bad sign that he thinks enough of himself and his work and his company that he thinks that somebody that's that far ahead of him would go to those links to do absolutely nothing. What is it? Does anybody agree with anything anybody says on Twitter? Practically. So if you got a bunch of people saying it, a lot of people start disagreeing with it just to be assholes, because that's what most people are. So I just...
How much did Tony spend for the independent study? That's what I would like to know.
You know, those things aren't cheap. Who could be paying for that? Independent study. Well, let's see the results of that study.
Here's the real question. If it really was happening, or even if it wasn't, what would the damage be in reality for a wrestling promotion if there are a bunch of bots, thousands of bots, let's say, saying or retweeting, I guess mostly retweeting and replying to negative AEW comments? Does that actually hurt AEW, or is it something Tony should be paying attention to?
No, but if we're talking about, obviously Twitter has the policy now that kicked President Pigshit or ex-President Pigshit off for lying about important shit that could cause problems in people's daily life. If people are lying about public policy and laws and elections and major shit, yes, they need to have a knot jerked in their ass. But people bickering over wrestling on Twitter, whether it's positive or negative or indifferent or funny or not funny or whatever, it's not going to negatively impact not only anybody's ability to live their daily life, but also that wrestling company. If it's a good show, it's still going to be a good show. And if it's a bad show, it's still going to be a bad show. But I can't see how that a mass Twitter campaign against these people would hurt that. They've got national television. Just don't suck on your TV show and people won't tweet that you suck. or agree with the bots that tweet that you suck. How childish can we get?
I see this a little differently. I think this is the start of an angle. And we're going to get WWE versus AEW with the big reveal that Cody Rhodes was behind all the bots.
And here he comes now with his army of bots. There's more than one army of bots in pro wrestling.
And there must be a truck on my street or something, because all of a sudden it sounds like I'm in an iron lung.